That brings us to reconfiguration.
Yes.
So, I guess we had a special meeting about that. Anybody have any
I just
thoughts,
put it,
concerns,
yeah.
comments you want to make from that?
I just wanted to provide you guys with some time without anybody here to, I know that there was a lot of information, there were some questions, and I just want you guys to have some time to discuss, think about next steps. I have a few thoughts, but I really want to hear from you guys on what you thought about the presentation, directions you may want to go, things that seemed realistic, not realistic, and I know that we haven't seen all the tax implications, but one of my recommendations will be to do that as a next step, is to get all that stuff in front of you as well. But I think we need to kind of step back and look big picture on where do you think we want to go, and then if we need to adjust some of those things, but where do you think we need to be going? Like long-term vision, where do you guys want to see this district as, 10, 15, 20, I mean, we can think as far down the future as you want.
I think long-term vision, it would be amazing to have one campus.
I agree.
Long-term vision. I don't know what that looks like as far as
taking it, because they had mentioned doing it in phases. So I guess I would want to hear more of their thoughts on how would that work.
Sure.
With, keeping up on maintenance, but also how, with our buildings that we have now and what that looks like, and do we reconfigure any of the schools while we're trying to make that jump into getting into one campus? Because, I think a lot of us have expressed, we don't like all of the transitions, but how long of a process is that gonna take? So I think I would like to see what their idea is of, because I agree with Kylie. I would love to see it one campus. I think it would benefit a lot of things, a lot of the students, just from personal experience, coming from Mission Valley where this happened at. I think it's an awesome thing. So, that was a while ago when that was done, and that was different time, different money as well. But if it can happen over time.
I just hate to see us keep putting money into each individual school if the long-term goal, I think that's why it's so important to think not just your 5-year or 10-year plan, because I think looking back, we could have done things differently, but we didn't have that crystal ball. So not dumping a lot of money into the reconfiguration if the long-term plan is to have one campus, and I don't know how
Exactly. I don't know how that would look when we're trying to get there. Like where you start, what. I would want to pick their brains more of that when you mention that. What would
It's not like they're gonna do it in the summer.
Absolutely not. This is going to be a long process if that's the route that's going to go. But
A lot of money.
it's a
Yeah.
lot.
That's, that's
a lot
my
of money.
concern is what can the community support, to make.
And I think you need to find that out. I think
And I
that's the
feel
big
like-
next step, is what will the community
And that's what I feel
support?
like, I feel like.
Well, but I guess so what is the savings, right? If we look at it, I know we
That's
look
what I
at it
was
from
asking.
monetary, so if in fact one of the buildings closes and we're able to reconfigure where we're fitting in 3 buildings instead of 4, what is the dollar savings?
and how does, and this might be a completely stupid question, so I apologize, but how does a bond, I know it's the taxpayers that pay back the bond, right? Essentially. So, but with the money that we save, can the school put towards anything for that? Is that, you know what I mean?
I don't think that's a stupid question, because I wonder too, if we rent one of these.
That's what I
buildings
don't
out,
understand about it. Like Justin was just saying, say one of the schools is closed and we save X, Y, and Z on that. Just because we're not having to pay for the building and utilities and everything.
So that's what we would be looking to do, is become more efficient in operations. So
Yeah.
top of operations is staffing, like people. And how do we consolidate, whatever way you want to go, how does that affect staffing? How could we then cut on staff, right? Then you look at things like transportation. food service, all of those pieces then would fall in. And so depending on what ones you wanna look in, then we will dive into that nitty gritty and we can get all those numbers of cost savings. For the bond piece, what we're looking at is what it's gonna cost to do any of these options, right? And then based on, we can get some advice from our financial people, what type of tax implication would that have over, if we did a 20-year bond or a 30-year bond, and they look at our assessed valuation and what, a mill will be worth and valued at to then pay for these upgrades. And they can come in and do some of those predictions for us, and they're assessing the market and the value of our district over time. The predictions they've given me already are based on a very conservative 1% growth in assessed valuation, even though our district has grown on average 4 to 6% over the last 10 years. So that's a very conservative estimate. So there's some amount of dollars that we could run a bond with no tax increase. And so we can talk about that. There are dollar amounts that we would raise the mill by 4 or 5. There's some that you're gonna raise it 15 to 20 mils. Linden, when they ran their bond, they raised theirs significantly. It was a big jump. I think it was almost 14 mils, something like that. So it just depends on how much you guys wanna spend, but I think we need to first decide where you wanna go first.
I think it's hard to
That's
decide where to
yeah,
go without knowing that information. That's my biggest issue.
Right.
So money then is the driving force then versus where we wanna go. I guess that's how I'm reading it versus.
I feel like we may know where we wanna go, but if it's crazy expensive, we may want that, but.
We might just take us a little longer to get there.
Right, but how do we do that over time? The one campus is not one we're looking at right now. That looks like too much. And we're gonna go for these as more of a stair step. But when we're talking about school closures as well, you need to consider that, as that will be a hard, political sell too. So I think it will be wise for us to consider a couple of options to then go get feedback on. And then we'll bring in all these financials and we can dig really deep into what are cost savings, what would a bond cost here, and then what are those tax implications with that kind of a bond. So if it's a $10 million bond, what does that mean for a $150,000 homeowner, a $250,000 homeowner, someone who has 200 acres of land? So there's lots of pieces to it. I didn't bring all that to you because I thought that was getting in the weeds before we kind of had a vision on where you wanted to go. So I'm not trying to drive you away from the dollars. That will be, I think that's our next meeting. I just think we need to talk about the big vision of what they presented to you and what you're thinking, as if your goal is one campus, is everybody in agreement to that? Is that something you want to take to the public and say, hey, we think it's ideal that we get there because X, Y, and Z reasons? Or we say, no, we don't want to do that. We still think we need to have at least one school open here, or, yeah. So those are the kinds of things I think that we need to discuss. And I think you guys as a unit of 7 kind of need to be on the same page on where we're going to go instead of taking to the public.
Well, I know, like in the
A
town
variety
hall
of
meetings, I think that was everyone wanted the one camp, not everyone, obviously, but I mean, that was like a majority.
But
I mean, that's, I heard it at every town hall meeting.
Is that?
And that's exactly, you look at somebody. But my question, so say, we close a school down, we close multiple schools down. Obviously, we don't want these schools to sit there. Like, I would like to make money, is there, because I know we had kind of threw ideas around, like maybe like having a CTE building and maybe letting like Burlingame come and maybe like have the co-op use it. And so as long as we're not just shutting a building down and leaving it there empty, I mean, as long as we can, that's what I want to see. I don't want to see us shut down and the building just go to waste. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's not going to be our school, but I still want it to be something for us.
Sure. But something for us means it's still on our books, or something for us as in someone else is taking care of it and paying for it, because those are two different things. So if it's still on our books, right? Meaning we're paying for the insurance, we're
I
paying
don't
for the
think-
capital outlay costs.
That's not gonna do us
saving
any
money.
good.
Right, that's not
So
saving money.
I think more turning it in, like,
Yeah.
it can be like a community center or the
Yes.
daycare, or, I mean, something more for, I guess, the community aspect is what I would envision, but not the school district running it.
One building I
Yeah,
think
not
is
us
an easy
running it, for
repurpose is this one, because we've kind of already talked about the need for possibly Three Lakes to have programming here. They could then shut down their Linden facility, run their administrative offices out of here. They could even bring another program over here that could save money from paying over at Burlingame and get a couple of programs all in one place. Three Lakes have this, they own it, it's all on them, and then that takes this whole facility off of our books. But it's still used as a school concept, and some of our kids will even go to school here. It's just it's a co-op building versus a Santa Fe Trail building.
Well, and that's what I want to know too, like what if, so if they buy it from us, obviously it's out of our hands, but say we still own it, but basically they lease it from us, you know, is that something?
But then where does that, like, insurance?
Yeah, and so
lie?
That's what I'm
there's-
saying, I wanna know, like, I wanna
Right.
know, is it gonna bring us money in, is it gonna help us pay for some of this new school, is it gonna, you know, like, I don't know.
Sure, yeah, so if you charged them rent and you said
Yeah.
that you're in charge of all the utilities and it takes off, let's say it takes off 90% of the expenses of this building, yeah. And those expenses are off, we're not making money, but it's taking that out of our budget,
Right,
right? So yeah, we
so
can
I
do
mean,
things
yeah,
like that.
that's kinda what I wanna, that's questions I have, I mean, I would like to see, like, what ideas do we have, you know, with the schools, like, yeah, what is it gonna look like if we sell, what is it gonna look like if we
Lease.
if we lease it, or, you know, I mean,
Yep, and there's a lot of
helps,
options,
you
because there's a lot of
know?
buildings.
right, that's why,
Absolutely.
it's hard,
I feel like I would like to see a few options, like to show, like, to the community members, because I feel like that's gonna be the driving force
It is.
behind what we're doing.
oh, for sure, yeah.
I feel like, I mean, even like a, some kind of, you know, comparison between a few options to show people, because I feel like people wanna know money numbers.
And I think it would be good to talk to your local people about ideas for the buildings. They might have ideas that the cities might want, or, you know.
When we say options, I think like vetted to scale plans.
Me too.
Not like, we think that'd work, I mean, maybe, I don't
That's
know
where
if
I was
that's
a
big
little
enough
disappointed with
or-
HTK.
My
is
whole
that-
thing is I didn't really believe a lot of what they said, I'll just say it. I don't think those numbers was, I think they was just a guess at, it might cost 50 million, this one might cost this, because any question about the plans is, well, the plans don't mean anything. I mean, without somewhat of a plan, how can you put a cost together? I mean, I can guess that Justin's house is gonna be $300,000.
Sure.
Justin says, what size is it? I say, I don't know, 300,000, maybe 325, right?
Yeah.
But I think we need to know what that number is, if it's not 50, I just don't feel like that they're far enough, or any of that is there to that
That's what I
close.
felt too.
I get it, I just feel like we have so many options, like,
Well, I just
How much
thought I think
time
it's
are we-
four
and I
different
guess we're paying
increments
them, how much
of
time are
money,
they gonna-
and which one do these people wanna
Like-
spend, and then they'll go build to it.
That
Yeah,
was my next question is I think we approved up to like a 21 or 25,000, it was as they go, how much have we used of that? And-
7.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've only been
so-
charged 7.
To me, what they've done so far is almost what we've already had done by the company that came last year on.
Yeah.
They went in and they looked at all of our buildings and our structures, which is great. But then what did they do with that knowledge? I didn't see enough from HTK. I guess I was hoping for more. It did.
Well, I'd like to have some questions answered, I guess.
Sure.
Like, can we get more parking? And their answer was, we're gonna pave the back parking lot. Well,
yeah.
paving the parking lot with
It's
that
not
doesn't
more
add
parking.
one extra space, that just
Sure.
gives us a shinier parking lot.
Sure.
So I feel like maybe
I would just
we
like
need
to
to
have
look
that in.
closely at each plan and like write down specific questions we have and things we specifically wanna know.
I mean, are there any we need to decide, are there any that we just hated, that we all know we're not?
Well, there's certain questions,
we-
like, the one question they brought up, does the water district even have the capacity?
Sure.
To me, you didn't walk
We
our
need to know
facilities,
that
you
ahead
didn't
of
walk our
time.
facilities, because if you walked our facilities, you see the water tank out back that provides the fire suppression system in the domes, correct? That's, to me, that says water district already doesn't have the capacity. You know, there's obviously more than one way to skin that cat.
Sure.
I just kind of feel like
Or the
there's way too much to,
There is.
septic.
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That right
there's
there's
so
gonna
many
blow-
questions that
That's
it's
blowing
hard
the
to
budget
even
right
know.
there.
Sure.
So I know, like, we talked about doing a committee with the town. I mean, we definitely need to get that and get the community's input as far as
I
like,
agree.
we need to figure that out, like, who are we taking, like, we're gonna,
What,
you know, we
what
need
input
farmers,
are
we
you
need
asking, I guess?
business owners, we need, you know, like, we need specific people from the community to come in too as a, kind of their own little board and,
What are we asking for? Are we asking to see what they wanna see in school districts, or are we saying, here's 3 plans, what are you willing to pay for?
I mean, I think we need to have some specific, I will say personally, I'm just gonna throw it out, I want to see 6th, 7th, and 8th grade at the high school. I mean, yes, I want one campus, eventually, do I think we can afford that now? No, I mean, I'm just,
So is that like, you know, what we present phase one is that something that we could afford? You know what I mean? Is that like the first step that we try to get to?
right. I mean, like, ultimately, I
Because I agree, I would like
don't want
see
to
them.
close down any schools by any means, and I
But
don't
I-
like, but I would love to have,
Unfortunately, I don't
just start
think
out with 2
that's not
campuses. If we could do 2 campuses right now, I think that'd be great. I mean, 1 is the ultimate goal. Can we start with breaking it down to 2?
But like what you
I
said
mean-
about at the town hall meeting, and I don't know if everybody's town hall meetings, if it was, everybody there was talking one campus, or like that idea. Where I was at, the majority of the people said that would be really neat, but there was only 20 people there.
I mean, that's true
So the
too.
majority of that little group said that, but not our. Our buildings aren't falling down. I mean, I'm not trying to squash the one campus idea.
No.
Our
We
buildings
put
aren't
a lot of
bad
money in
shape.
it for the last
Yeah.
We spent
6
a lot of
years.
money on it.
The high school's probably in the,
And in Mission Valley, they was in a little different situation. They just had a little more needs, maybe.
No, and I wouldn't say they were decrepit, like
Mhm.
past people have said. But, I mean, there was definitely updates that needed done. I mean, Harveyville is still standing and it's an art school now.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, Dover's Community Center, I mean, I'm sure they've had to put money
They
into it and
referred to
everything.
some of them.
Yeah, so I don't think it was a dire need. I think what happened in Mission Valley School District is their hand got forced a little bit, and they started kind of what we have established here is 7th, 8th grade got shoved over to Harveyville,
Mm.
certain class, and that was a new thing, and so then Bond
That's
got,
when they went and did that deal.
Yeah. so that's kind of what happened with
Right,
that.
so.
So
and
the hand got forced. a
I
little
know
bit.
that our buildings right now, like, we could stay as we are and our schools will function and our buildings are good enough and we will use capital outlay to continue to grow them and fix them and maintain them. That's not really my concern, it's can we continue to sustain the operations as they are if we continue to have declining enrollment over time. So where do we wanna do our cost savings? If you don't wanna do it in facilities, that's okay. We don't have to do it in facilities. Like, the schools are one part of our budget and operations are other parts of our budget. So you're right, we do have 4 working buildings that, you know,
Yeah,
Some of our savings, go ahead.
Well, I guess if you're asking me like, hey, what would I wanna see as a voter, and if I want to vote for a bond, I mean, I would like to see, okay, what does Scranton cost me to operate?
Yeah.
12 months
Oh,
a year, how many students are in that building?
Yeah.
What does Carbondale cost me to operate? How many students are in that building? What is the high school, what is Overbrook? And then plan A, you would essentially get rid of this operating cost, right? Now, again, if we could repurpose it, now that capital outlay money goes to, okay, we can start building a junior high at the high school, right? Or we could start doing whatever, starting with the gym, or starting with this, and piecemeal it that way. Or hey, if we were to repurpose 2 buildings, this is the capital outlay we could spend. I mean, just something that has actual figures that says, okay, this is what you're saving, opportunity,
Absolutely.
money for that. And then, okay, well, if we go to 3 sections instead of 4, right, or whatever, from a staffing perspective, what is it like? Because we saw, there's some 80s at the high school and then it's 60 and 50s, pretty much in Overbrook, right? So probably need to look at that. What does that look like? So what can we do with our own money that we're already telling the public, this is how we're spending your money?
Yep.
We're being fiscally responsible right now, so we're not just saying, give us all this bond money because we want this new shiny thing.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna keep wanting the same upkeep expenses for brand new facilities, which doesn't make sense to me either.
And that's what I'm kinda getting at, cause so what'd they say for like the one facility, what did,
It was
like
50
130 million or something?
No, it was a huge range, it was like
It was like
32 or
40, it was
50.
like 41 to 50.
Okay, so let's say $50 billion, right, to make one campus. So like, here's where I'm
If
getting
you
at,
can do
so
it.
say we sell this building to Three Lakes, how much is that? How much are we gonna sell this building for if we sell it to Three Lakes?
33%.
So
Yeah.
whatever.
You get 66% of that, yeah.
But I'm saying, like, do we sell this building for $10 million and then, hey, there's $10 million we're putting towards our new school, towards our one campus, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of where I'm trying to get at too.
I kinda wanna know as a taxpayer, and maybe, just for me, what, I'm willing to pay for what we need. What do we need to educate kids better? What do we need to make the teachers do their job better? And yes, we're already winning awards with the buildings we have. We're already popular, people want to work here, and that's great that we're able to do that, but what do we need? Like,
Well, but-
yeah, we want nice stuff too, right? We want a good place for kids to go to school, but what really is, this is really gonna be good for the kids, because there's gonna be cost savings, but, you know, saving money on busing, that saves the budget that we manage here. Taxpayers are still paying to operate school, whether it's in busing or a new building in one campus, right? So why am I gonna pay extra for this? Does that make any sense at all?
Oh, yeah.
But
And that's the only reason why I haven't pushed the finance piece yet, is like, what do we wanna do? What are our needs? And then or dive into all these things, like, before we would run a bond or even go out and say, just cost this, we would absolutely need to have all this information about operations for all these options, just as you said, Justin. We would need to know all the taxing implications, we would need to know, upfront costs that are gonna be there that will disappear over time, because they're upfront costs, but then cost savings in the long run. And some of these things may take a while to see savings too, so.
I mean, this is something too, we probably just need to ask, you know, right now we've got a lot of good board members, whatever we do, I mean, we're gonna put in a major commitment, time commitment too, I mean, everybody at a point where we can do that.
I
You
mean,
know what I
mine's
mean?
graduating and my others are little, so I'm gonna be bored.
This is your hobby now.
This is my new hobby. Talking about needs though, I mean, so I will tell you, like personally, I hate that the preschool's over here by themselves. Like because we are a small community, I feel like our preschool teachers don't have a problem contacting our kindergarten teachers and bouncing ideas, but if they were in one building, you know, it'd be so much easier for them to like work together and do like the transition from the preschool to the kindergarten. And, you know, obviously we've talked about having, you know, 4th and 5th grade back with the grade school. And I mean, I feel like just, you know, the teaching part of it, like I think it'd be better for teachers to have, you know, like not feel secluded, you know, just have as a whole.
Kindergarten teachers have talked about that, the
Right.
transition, and that there's no.
Well, and I think that was.
transitioning to kindergarten? And I know it's an unpopular opinion,
I
but
guess-
I mean.
But I mean,
like
it's
saying
not the same
transition to-
building.
For me, if you were going from pre-K to kindergarten, you know, we do that kindergarten camp. If you were already in that building, why would we do the kindergarten?
Absolutely.
You know, you're already there, you're used to that, you're seeing those same teachers, and that's your building, you're already
Yeah.
used to it.
Well, and I
You
think
already know the
whole
teachers, you already,
thing, you know, we started talking about this was because we have so many transitions. So whether we build, we don't, I still think something needs done.
Yeah.
I don't think we need, I don't think we should stay as is. That's the bottom line is my opinion.
So we would have to go down to 1 or 2 buildings.
To reduce
To reduce the transition, you
reduce
have to go to
transitions.
1 or 2. So one
But I
campus
Well,
think it's
or 2.
mostly, in
No, 'cause
most school settings though, you have
Elementary, middle, and high
elementary, middle,
school.
high
So
school.
you have
Yeah,
3
right.
transitions.
That
It's
is
fine, I'm
Right.
just saying to go,
So,
But I also feel like our configuration with 4 through 8 is not typical.
no, and I
It's
don't.
no,
a
it's
very,
not anywhere.
it's a very,
And that's our biggest
That's
complaint,
not like
is
it.
having the 4th and 5th
Yeah.
graders.
I'm just telling you that we're changing the transition. It goes from 3rd to 4th to now going
It's the
from 6th to 7th.
longevity of the transitions that we fix are the preschool transition, 3rd grade transition,
So, but
8th grade transition. So it's more like the
Not all kids
versus
go
the
to preschool.
longevity of the time a kid is in.
Majority of ours do.
well, and I feel like
So I'm
your
not-
resources can be allocated better with.
Yeah.
I
When
mean,
you're in the same building, and that's how I feel. That's, I
Yeah.
think that's a need.
We have 1,000 kids and 4 facilities.
I don't feel like the one campus, I was trying to look up the different options, because I feel like one campus is, I feel like pie in the sky, but it's very expensive, and I feel like our community just doesn't have the tax revenue that we need to support that. I mean,
She
thanks,
mentioned,
Walmart.
she mentioned the money maybe at another meeting, but what's it gonna cost? I mean, I think people are gonna look, so what's it gonna cost somebody like me versus somebody like us with a really fancy house and all that, right? What's the difference
And
there?
someone with 600 acres.
Someone with
Yeah.
just a big landowner,
Yes,
I
we
mean, what's
need
it
to
gonna
talk
cost
to-
them? I mean, is
Yep.
this guy paying $5, is this guy paying $100? Is that the range there? And I think that's important.
I mean, that's what I would like to do, is get a few options that we kind of agree on and figure out some of the tax, like, implications of each, because I feel like people wanna know that before they're gonna have a good idea of what they wanna support.
Yeah, and maybe it's the bond that doesn't really raise any taxes, doesn't cost any money, but we can get something or
Yeah.
start working that way.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, and to Justin's point, even if we were closing one building though, the cost savings to closing a building and using it for other purposes, it's more efficacious, I think.
Start adding to a school.
Yeah, our
You
bills are
can-
insane.
You can
Right.
save, I mean, you had 3 Lakes come here, I would say 3 Lakes not paying for something else.
And they have to do something, to be honest.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
otherwise
really-
we're gonna be paying for
You're
a,
gonna be paying for a building there, because it's,
Their building needs more repair.
yes, and it's worth, so I
Yeah.
feel like Three Lakes needs something else.
so do you want to have a special board meeting with HTK and like Piper Sandler, financial advisor, to come in and talk about the taxes, and you guys can bring questions. I can prep HTK with some additional questions that you might have everybody in the room. We spend all that time just with them.
So can Piper just like throw numbers out there, like, okay, if you
Yeah,
spend
this is,
5 million, then this is what it's gonna look like. If you
Yep.
spend 10 million, this is what it's gonna look
yeah,
like.
they
I
will
mean,
give us
can we
estimates
just,
based on the market, based on assessed valuation projections.
I mean, I
over
would like to
time.
see those numbers,
Okay.
you know, cause then we could say, okay, well, here's our budget, and, I mean, obviously you
And I can
say,
have them
okay,
give,
here's our budget, here's the
give you
amount
some
we
stuff
agree
ahead
on,
of
now
time.
what can we do with this money?
And maybe that would be the best way to go. I mean,
I mean, yeah.
what is the community gonna be willing to pay, and then what can
I
we do
mean,
with
we
it?
want, I mean, I can tell you what I want a lot of things in this
Right.
district, I mean, I would tear down the high school and start fresh and do all, you know, but obviously that's not gonna happen. So we really need a price point, I think.
But I think some of that information has to come from you, because our building operations, they are.
yes, that part I can do. I'm not talking about that part. I'm talking about the market for the bonds.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what, like your taxes, if we do a bond for this much, like, what's it gonna cost taxpayers and.
I mean, maybe that would be a starting point, is try to figure out if we did 20 million, 10 million, I don't know, 5 million.
Right,
I mean, and then what could we do?
What could we do
What
with
can we
that?
do?
yeah, and then what can we do with this amount of money?
Unless we wanna go.
Because, I mean, I'm gonna tell you right now,
What
just
Justin said.
the community, I mean, it's money, like, a lot of the community, they're not gonna look at the school and say, oh, you know, what do you need that for? What, you know, a lot of them aren't, all they're gonna look at is their taxes. They're gonna say, oh, our taxes are going up again, our taxes are going up, like, I don't even have kids that go to that school, I don't have grandkids, you know what I mean? Like, they don't care, I don't wanna say they don't care, but you know what I mean, like, ultimately, they don't care what we do to the school, you know, as long as our kids are going to school, they just care about what are their taxes.
If you bring HCK back, it'll still be under that original 24,000.
Mhm, yeah.
That's all,
Yep.
that's all we're
Yep.
going with so far.
I say we get the numbers from Piper before we meet back with HTK.
But I
Unless-
guess to me, if we're getting numbers and they say you have 10 million, but we don't even know if it's feasible or the size of a gym and classrooms will actually fit east of the high school, because I kind of question that.
I did too.
Because I don't know if you
You know,
can fit a gym and classrooms to the east and then to the
Unless we're
south.
building up,
I think it's
Was
tough.
Yeah.
But, so to me, if we go
Square
get this
footage,
10
I was
million,
gonna
we're gonna add
question.
this middle school, or junior high to the high school plan and go down to 2 facilities. But then we find out, oh crap, we can't even, we need more than one more lagoon, or the water system won't support it, or hey, turns out we don't have the square footage to the east that we thought we had.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions that.
Then
I just feel
Yeah,
like-
like the square footage of.
And so I guess to me, I would say it would probably start with, I hate to say the scale, but a scale drawing of what it looks like to add a junior high to the high school, or a middle school if we're adding
That's
6,
what
7,
I
8 to high
expected.
school.
Something
And then after that,
sounds like a
Start
zero
looking
like
at
that.
student population size to say what buildings could fit what. I don't know, I just,
assumed that they had it, the square footage.
yeah.
I mean, I'm not an architect, so I
assumed they
can
had to
ask them
figure it
like how they came up with these, I can ask them exactly how they came up with.
I just kind of
Yeah,
feel
what
like
size
it's,
are these classrooms?
I just kind of feel like it's a guess.
Well, I mean, just how many feet do we have from the, not the overhang, but where the
Right,
gym
any easement
ends?
that we have to follow.
East, yeah, east to where the easement is.
Yeah.
And will it fit another gym and classrooms to the east of that, which I think is what the drawing showed, and that's pretty tight.
So do we wanna look at the options that we were given and write down all of our questions of the things we wanna know before HTP comes back?
I mean, I would hope they would come with that. I don't wanna come to a meeting just.
No, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
if we had all of our questions about each, about some of the
Yeah, so
options.
I
So they
think-
could come back with all the answers.
I think so, because I'm no.
So ask them ahead of time, is what you're saying.
Yeah, ask them ahead of
That's-
time, yes, like we wanna know, like, is there another gym with this, and if so, where is it gonna go?
it was,
Yeah,
but
it
what
was in
size
that
was it?
picture.
Did we have enough room?
Right, I mean,
Well, and on that note too, so I will say like, so our dome gym is lacking, what was it lacking, like 4 feet or something is why we couldn't do like volleyball regionals or something? Like really? Really? I mean, who made that decision? Like that's the most, like, so if we do get a new gym, let's make sure it's gonna be the right size so we can actually do things in there, like not just build a gym to have a gym, What, was it 4
Well,
feet? It was
I
something
can be
stupid.
very transparent with them and say, my board is very, we are questioning, they are undersatisfied and questioning, the options that you provided without details that they feel are very needed, especially some of those specifics of square footage, the easement, can it fit here, the lagoons, the parking, the playgrounds, and I talked to them a little bit about that in my follow-up, when I met with them the Monday after our meeting. And so I told them that, I said, there's some things they had a lot of questions about that, you didn't have answers, and they went into, this was a programmatic study, for big picture, big vision, that here's some options based on the utilization of space that we have. That's really what they did, was like a utilization of space, and underutilization of space.
But they didn't tell us what to do with those.
Yeah, like I felt like they would have provided us more, with some more guidance, like I felt like that's kind of what we.
So
had
how do
been
you
for,
utilize
and
what
they
we
just didn't-
have differently?
Yeah, they didn't give us any of that, really.
And I think that's why we're still so up in arms about everything, because we're still.
And one of the options was a 5 through 8, which nobody's in favor of.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It was like,
which was a what did you say?
A
Jeff?
5
5
through 8.
Oh,
Like we want a middle school, like a 6 through 8, or a junior high,
Right,
7,
right,
right? And one of the options I think that was presented.
I feel too, I guess I feel too like, we need something, if, I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was like 8 to 12, 13 to 18, 41 to 50.
Yeah, so that's-
Rough math in my head, that's about 25% off on each one of those money increments.
Sure.
Well, I can guess that, right?
Mhm.
I mean, let's
I
turn
don't
off
know
everything
how
at Google Maps and throw a guess at it. It's like, I know it doesn't have to be perfect, but I just kind of feel like
A little bit
we
better.
need something a little bit better, because, I've done a lot of construction, and 41 to 50,
Why don't you
It's
just
never
build a
41.
school for us,
Yeah.
Tanner?
it's always 50 plus.
So one thing I do wanna know too, and this maybe is just a me thing, but I have mentioned it before, because our school, we're getting smaller and smaller and smaller, eventually I feel like 6th graders are going to have to start playing junior high sports. So personally, I think that 6th through 8th need to be in a building together. That's me, just because, when we get to these kids, like where we have 30 kids in this class and
Is
20 in
that
this
a league
class.
decision or is that a school decision?
I don't know, cause I know
It's more of
Burlingame
a-
does it, I know Mission Valley does it.
What was that?
But is a
It's more of a school decision.
I thought so, because we
Yeah.
talked about
But
junior
what-
high track. and
Linden does it?
We've talked about that before.
But what a,
So
from a
like I don't
school
wanna,
decision though, do we?
I mean, I
Different-
don't wanna
different
see us have a 7 and 8, like, so say we build a junior high onto the high school, okay? I just don't want us to build 7th and 8th grade there, and then 4 years down the road, like, oh, well, we only have 5 kids to play volleyball, you know, so we need 6th graders, so it'd be better if they were.
Maybe the transition was in them
That's
because
true,
we've made
too.
room with declining enrollment to move somebody else. I
Yeah.
mean, those are the things we don't know.
Right.
Then if you go,
Maybe
if you
trying
go
the
like a
classrooms
two
turn
campus
into
doing that,
schools.
there's 2 other campuses to do something.
Then we can
Three legs
nailed
up.
it.
Take one. Is there any such thing of
Now we're down.
expanding into the tech or something? Maybe he's the guy to talk to Kyle about that a little bit, or is there a way to do anything, any tech on our own or anything?
Any what?
In more tech?
Check, oh, like CTE stuff?
Yeah. Mhm.
At a different school?
Expense for us.
It would, but I mean, I don't know, it's just a thought. Be a way to utilize the building and not close the building. Sometimes even though it would be, maybe it'd be an expense, but could we do it better than what the kids are getting now? Is that possible? I don't know, I just was thinking that was an option.
Well, I just love, I mean, like, I don't know if this is what you're getting at, but like, instead of having the kids having to drive to Washburn Tech, like, they can just drive
That's what I was talking
Scranton or
about.
Overbrook, so that's kind of what you're getting at, and I love that.
Some sort of
Yeah,
mechanics,
that makes it really kind of like,
tech program, or at least they used to, in one of their smaller buildings in Garnett. They were housing their own, and what I remember was there were some surrounding coming there, and it was housed there. I don't know the details of it, probably, but that might be.
It'd be
Yeah,
nice.
so that's, we'd have
It
Burlingame,
would be
Osage
nice to, like,
City, Linden, come
Washburn
here
Tech
instead of.
just
And run a program,
run it to- run-
and then
yeah.
they bring in the kids through it.
Kinda like
Hey,
how-
Get on that, baby.
Aren't they already expanding the work though
Satellite.
to people
Satellite.
at the OK mark?
We were beginning
Yeah,
to
like
take
a
it
satellite
free, so I
program.
mean, I don't think
Yeah.
they're gonna think.
If they're putting a lot of money into Kmart up the line, they're probably gonna. Not saying they won't.
How far south do people come, like, to go to Washburn Tech? Like, is there another tech school in like Emporia or
Flint
something?
Hills,
or is
people
there-
go to Flint Hills, people go to Washburn Tech.
Okay, so there are
There's
more that way,
others,
that was my, cause I'm like,
Kids
even
in Osage
if
don't
we
go
moved to
to
here, we
Flint
could
Yeah.
see more.
Because
People from the
every friend
south
I had
come
kid go
to-
for Ames Tech from Osage.
There's some kids that are
That was years ago, so maybe they switched to, I don't know.
Golf
So it was nice to listen.
Where's Flint was?
Emporia.
Well, so do you want to do a special meeting and have her gather this information, or do you want to just make that longer? Do you want to do a special meeting like
Whatever works for you.
before the meeting like we did before, instead of having another night?
I just think an hour's kind of short.
My only
Oh,
fear is
yeah.
you get rich in discussion and then
And then
boom.
you have to
Meeting and
stop.
discussion, yeah.
I also feel like we need to have specific questions to give them, like, that we want them to answer. I mean, like, we want, like, we're looking at this one, we wanna know where the gym's gonna go.
Yeah, we
wanna
want
know
the
how
square
big
footage and.
is the gym big enough, and we wanna know.
Is
if
this
like,
really
it's gonna go-
feasible to put in this space?
Yeah. I mean, I think we need to have some of those specifics written down for them, so they can answer it and.
How do you want to collect all of that? Would you like to send me all of that and I can submit it to them, like all the questions you have?
I know you guys probably don't wanna do another meeting, but I feel like we need to sit down.
I think we need to have a meeting,
A list of
brainstorm and put
questions.
Yeah.
what we're together.
That's what I feel like we need to do.
And write down a list of questions and send it to them and then
Yeah.
have them come and
I
present.
mean, we could start like a Google Doc where we can all drop questions into it. Your question might make me think of a question.
Sure, that's,
Yeah.
and then we could combine. you know,
Network it.
this to a-
So instead of doing another meeting, just, well.
Well, we
Well,
can't.
I guess we
do
do
that.
I say, we can't do that though.
You can do that in here,
We
can't do that, you can't do that.
Separate,
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, that's what I was
That's
thinking.
like sharing, no.
Not an email.
So we can't crowdsource.
Oh, no.
Lines like inside.
It'd be like the operating.
We just need to come
Yeah.
to
Yeah, I feel like we're just gonna have to have a meeting.
No, you have to have a meeting.
Yeah.
So next week on spring break,
No.
Next Tuesday?
I won't be
11:45?
That'll be back.
I actually don't.
Do the,
Oh, you just said 11:45.
I'll be there.
26th
at work.
or the 2nd.
Is it Wednesday?
How about April's first meeting? That's always
I
good to-
really, if we could not do a Monday or Wednesday,
There is so much softball.
but if it has to be, I
The
will.
first is a Tuesday.
Happy birthday to me.
Birthday.
I'll do
There's a
it,
joke in
I,
there somewhere.
just another day.
We
Are
have
any of you,
softball
are any
April
of you
1st.
off on
Oh, I bet,
like
yeah.
during the afternoons? I know some of you don't, no?
I'm taking
I'm
a lot of
getting busy
vacation.
Sunday.
On what? Afternoons, I think it was off at like 4 or something.
Yeah, we have a home softball game on the first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thursdays?
I like Thursdays.
We have a lot of softball games on Thursdays, depends which one. We don't on the 3rd?
Yes, we
Actually,
do.
we have Friday nights.
We always
Yes,
do.
we do, Rossville.
I have
April
a
3rd?
JV.
No, Rossville varsity and JV.
Fourth. I had, that's on the 4th.
On the fourth.
Are we
Well, I
talking
have
about
it
just
on the
meeting
third.
with us?
Well, or whatever
I
public
think
would like to
we
attend, could be here.
Right, well,
Well,
I'm saying,
I mean,
we're not
but-
talking HTK.
Just the board and
proposal, just
brainstorming
us.
session. Yeah.
Is-
And then she
Stephanie, are you out next week, then are you on?
I'm out.
Yeah,
So
we'll be
I'm out until Thursday. Thursday would be as soon as I could get here.
For next week?
Yeah.
I will be out until like Thursday too.
I could do it Thursday. Well, that's a tournament though.
Can you do Friday?
Something wrong.
I can't do any spring break. I won't be here. I'll be down south.
Yeah,
I
okay.
mean, I could do it.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with a special meeting next Thursday or Friday, as long as we can have the tournament up on one of these big TVs.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
I can't do Friday the 21st, I can't do that.
Gotcha.
I could do the,
The 27th, Thursday the
no, I'm
27th.
going to Nashville and I will not be on the phone.
20th.
That's my one vacation I've done. So no Monday.
What's Wednesday, the 20th? Do we have site
Trying to-
council?
Trying to
this time?
collaborate your 7 calendars. Is-
So the
No, it's
the
Friday.
26th is the
Yeah.
driver's ed meeting and let me just try out
Who you got? Oh, are you got a kid about to start driving?
Oh, yeah, we can probably use
and then
drivers at the sports meetings together with all. April 3rd? If we're gonna do this well. Is there
We're
softball
just
that
have
night?
softball players, so we're probably all available on a certain night.
I know, I'm just saying, I thought you said it was on Friday. Well, I have it on Thursday, but they have it on Friday, so it could be
the
both.
district calendar
Ellie's
shows,
varsity, right?
What's on
I
district?
have no idea.
the district
I think
calendar
so.
does show on
So,
Thursday.
yeah, it's Friday.
Friday shows
I think
varsity and
JV's on
JV
the
girls at Rossville. On Friday the 4th, on the 3rd, the district calendar just has the JV varsity track at Silver Lake and varsity boys in it for you.
What's the third word?
Did you guys say April 3rd was open with, or Friday had softball, or, because right now I don't see softball on the 3rd.
It's
I'm
on the
seeing it
4th.
It's
I
on
could
the
do the
4th,
4th.
okay.
So is
Whatever
it not
you-
JV on the third?
Whatever night you pick, there's
It
gonna be
might
a rain out
be.
reschedule.
I have nothing on there, but
So the 3rd,
Right.
I could, is the 3rd okay with you guys?
There's gonna be something about the rain.
You guys make the 3rd work at 5:30?
I'll miss you.
I can do, the earlier better probably, if you guys, what time can you guys get here on a Thursday?
4:30.
4:30?
Five.
Five would be,
Five.
yeah, 4:30 would be pushing it.
4:30s.
Yeah, 5,
Do 5 o'clock?
4:35.
If we advertised it and had it, if we advertised it, do you think any public would show up? We advertise, should we have it at the auditorium? I mean, are people watching now and understand what's going on and?
I mean, are
Would
you
people show
saying
up?
like an open, like so people can ask questions and
Well,
put their
I
input?
mean, we
kind of
should
thing?
people than could fit here.
Yeah, if there's, I mean, is there a possibility we could?
Well, I know, I'm just
attract more
saying,
people? You don't think so?
I feel like we need to wait until we have some things to present to them.
well, no, that's what I'm saying, like if you, I mean, people are
I mean,
gonna
people
watch it
can
on
come to
YouTube.
It's still too long, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, for sure. I just didn't know if you
Did we-
meant,
We could allow females for calling too, if we wanted, I mean, I think that would be good feedback.
5 o'clock.
I mean, if we had 50 people show up, you know, on the screen,
I'd be bringing this.
Chris, if they show that?
I feel like if we don't allow the public to speak, we're not like asking for their input, I don't see a lot of people showing up to a special meeting. I mean, cause they can watch on YouTube. You know what I mean? I could be wrong.
Well, we can open it up for public comment.
Well, that's why I said, is that why you were saying that?
I mean, I think this is a big decision, the public's gonna be involved, ultimately, they're gonna, if we did a bond, they would vote on it, right?
Oh, for sure.
If we're gonna put in the time and the work, we just.
Okay, so
the direction
I've heard-
that the
Well, I
constituents-
know that's why we had the town hall meetings too.
Okay.
We're doing
So I will
those.
I will put together best I can estimates for current estimates of operations at each building. Okay, you want that. What else do you want from me? Do you want HTK or do you want Piper Sandler or no to them so far? Just like, do you want operational costs?
I'd say no to them, or at least my opinion.
I say, can
Just
you
have
just
the
send something to
board
Piper
and-
Sandler and say, hey, can you just estimate some numbers for us if we spend this much, if we spend
Yeah.
10 million, if we spend 15 million, if we spend, you know what I mean, and just
Yes.
get,
I can do that.
just give us some number, yeah.
Yep, and I can send that to you ahead of time too.
That'd be great, just so that way we kind of have an idea of, hey, this is gonna raise our taxes.
So if we
What-
have a meeting on
20%,
the
they're gonna-
third,
And what
Will that
did you say,
give-
the 3rd at 5 o'clock?
will that give,
Okay.
because our meeting then will be on
The ninth.
the 9th. I probably won't give them enough time to get everything answered and stuff.
I guess, well, maybe not, I feel like they should be farther along with some of it, maybe they are, they just didn't present it. I think they could turn around something.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think they could.
It might be in there, but we are saying like it maybe it is to scale, but we don't know what to scale.
Right.
Yeah, and we didn't have a lot of time, like I know once they were done presenting, we were all kind of trying to absorb what was there and then,
Well, and we was 1 minute away or so, when
Yeah.
we realized, hey, we
So-
got wrap up.
yeah, so I can bring that, so do you want them then on a different night? You want me to go ahead and try to schedule them? I have tentatively penciled them in for our April meeting at 5. I can do a different meeting where we have them separate. I can bring Piper Sandler and them in. It's whatever you guys wanna do, whatever format, it doesn't matter. Whatever you guys wanna do, I will schedule. So,
What are we asking HCK for outside of just the feasibility or to the scale of the plans they've already presented? What more would we
It's the
want?
main thing.
I would like some more detail.
Yeah.
How many of these classrooms in the junior high that you had are sixth grade, 7th grade? Because that looked really small to me. I had said that to you.
yep, yes.
How big is that gym? Where are we going to do all of our band? Are they gonna walk over to the high school now?
I don't have it in front of me, but I feel like right at the entry, they showed like a band room,
Okay, but
and
they
then they
said that
showed a
we-
gym, and then
but-
they showed.
But they said we had outgrown the high school band room. Okay,
Right.
so then where was your plan for that? Because that was really what they dug into. So that's where,
That band room was never big enough.
Didn't really have
No,
an
it didn't.
answer.
sure,
They didn't have
but they did a whole school assessment
Yeah,
and it took them, 2 months to complete. And I just didn't feel like I got a lot of feedback from that.
and this is where I feel like Tanner's comment on, I don't think a bond is what we need to do to take care of existing problems.
I don't
right?
either, but
So-
that's what they did. We paid them to do that. So tell me what you gathered from that information. Is it that the bond we need to build a bigger band room? Is that what how does that all tie in, is where I'm coming from.
Well, I think our special meeting is gonna gather the information to send to them to have them come
Okay. So we'll have
clear
a
the air
Okay.
on that stuff.
Okay,
Is what I would think. I mean, do we want to,
Big size.
when we call this meeting, do we want to just have a start time of 5? Do we wanna say it's only 2.5 hours? I mean, before it gets unproductive, sometimes you get into that, or do you wanna just go till we're done?
I think you go for it, if we put an end time, we gotta stay here till that end time, don't we?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I would.
So I think we just let it go, and I
starts
think if it
then
starts to
and we'll-
become.
Starts at 5 and then
Daniel
adjourns
goes-
when we adjourn? Okay.
And
I
if
could
we're
just
all
see, I
trying
could
to
see it
get
going a
close
couple
to
hours if
700.
we get discussion going on something like that.
No, for sure, if not, we'll just give you the look,
Like we already
you'll
know.
say, oh.
It's-
Yeah, we're giving you the look now.
All right, moving along.
So you need a motion for a special meeting? I make a motion for a special meeting on April 3rd at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay, we have a motion,
I'll second it.
second, all in favor,
What's the location?
At the DAC.
right here. If too many people show up,
We can
we'll
go to
start
the gym.
dragging chairs out to the gym, we'll accommodate what we need to do. That's fair enough, isn't it?
Justin and
Michelle.
Michelle.
Yep.
Sorry.
Kyle's bringing
Amy, if
staff.
we have too many people, you have to carry all the
And
stuff
all in
out.
favor?
Yeah.